What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the series. My name is 2 for Oscar, and we are doing the Vergil missions, Son of Sparda difficulty as rank mode. So I know in the last episode I was just rambling about the entire franchise, and there's gonna be more to come. Don't worry. But this time we're gonna talk about DMC5 specifically, and I want you guys to comment below. How do you guys feel about the level design in DMC5? And by level design, I mean the corridor style of all the levels in the game. Do you guys think it's a good idea of basically running down a corridor and then it's constant enemy drops on you as you go through each of the corridors? Or did you enjoy exploring gigantic areas and there are enemies around of that nature? I would say as far as gameplay goes, DMC4 is a bit better than 5. But the reason why I come back to this game more than 4 is that this game has my favorite weapon set for Dante, and that's why I love this game as far as gameplay goes. But anything else, this game pisses me off. But I love playing as Dante and Vergil in this game. I would say if DMC4 wasn't rushed in development, maybe it would be a bit better than DMC5. Who knows? I do miss the interconnected world though in the old games, like DMC 1 and 3, and even 4 did it as well. You go through the game and then towards the end of the game you run all the way back to the beginning where you started, and it just shows how far you traveled. And that is mind-blowing to me because you would think you would be lost in this massive world and you think you're like hours and hours deep in the level designs. And then they'll say, oh, you gotta get out of the castle or this world because it's about to break and crumble. And then you race all the way back and you just see how far you escape. And then only to see like how quick the level designs are. And it's just insane. It's like the feeling in Dark Souls 1, how everything is connected. And you find shortcuts and open doors and it takes you back to the area you were before. That's what I miss in games nowadays. You don't get that nowadays. But DMC5, I would compare this to something like, I know it's a weird comparison, but it's like Pokemon, Sun and Moon, and also Sword and Shield, where you're just forced to walk down narrow pathways, and you don't get that sense of exploration. So it does ruin the immersion. I would be fine with this sort of level design if it was mission challenge modes and you're just running down a corridor and you take down hordes and hordes of demons, kind of like a time limit thing, like kill the most enemies, so that would make sense. But for the main campaigns, it should be more closer to DMC1 in that way that the level design works. And they should bring back more certain puzzles for the game. I think they should take more inspiration from the OG God of War games on the PS2, like God of War 1, 2, and 3, or PS2 through 3, I guess. And that way the puzzles and the environment worked in those games, because that was really cool. One of the best ways the God of War developers did back then, that was integrating puzzles with the core combat system. So there were different puzzles that require you to battle against enemies while having a challenge to complete, which would unlock a door or something. There was one I remember where you have to take this guy who was locked in a cage, and you have to bring him across this gigantic room filled with enemies, and you have to burn them alive to open the doorway. So that was an interesting challenge, where you merged the puzzles with the combat system. And DMC never actually done something like that before. I mean, if they did, then they haven't done it well when it comes to the puzzles migrating with the challenges and the combat. It would be cool to have interesting puzzles and environments, because this game is just a fucking giant corridor you run down and that's it. I do like a bit of the art designs though here, but the actual character designs in this game aren't the best. Vergil of all characters, him and Lady, they are like the best designed characters in the game, because they still dress how you would think DMC characters still dress. But everyone else dress normal, like how everyone would dress like in day-to-day life. Whereas if you look at the DMC 1 and DMC 3, where it's just over-the-top clothing, I guess, J-pop, K-pop sort of character designs, which are just super stylish and interesting to look at. Hell, like DMZ2, that's my favorite design for Dante, to be honest. I love his drip. But this DMC5, it just looks pretty typical. Like, it looks like people you see in everyday life. Actually, the art style here took huge inspiration to DMC Devil May Cry when it came down to it, which is not best in my opinion. It just looks weird looking. Going back to puzzles. I know there's players out there who don't care about solving puzzles and just want action non-stop. And I think we could accommodate those players with a mode where maybe it's like a score attack mode, where it removes all the puzzles and you run through the environment and you're just fighting all the enemies. Like, we could have a specific mode for those players. Like, the first gameplay you have to do the puzzles and everything, but then after, if you don't want to deal with the puzzles again, if you're doing a second playthrough, you can just go on a score tag mode where it bypasses all the puzzles and just throws you into battle after battle after battle. So if you get triple S rank, it'll bring you to the next battle instantly. You don't have to run through environments. That could be a good compromise for people who just don't care about traversals and just focus on combat mechanics. But I do think that taking out the puzzles and the interconnected world and the gothic style environments, I think that was a bad idea for DMC5, because that was the core tenets of what Devil May Cry is from a game design perspective. Because DMC1 was action, like steroid action version of Resident Evil, and one of the primary aspects of Resident Evil is the actual world design, where it's all interconnected and a bunch of interesting scenarios you're thrown into and beautiful environments and how devious the enemies were to deal with. But speaking about enemies, what do you think about the enemies in DMC5? Comment that as well. I think they need to be more of a threat, because these enemies are just fodder, and they've been fodder since DMC4. At the very least, in DMC3, they tried to make certain enemies a little more difficult to deal with, but the issue there is that they sucked at creating those enemies. Like, enemies like the Enigmas and the Fallen, all of those enemies were hot garbage. They were trash tier enemies. DMC3 has the worst enemies in the entire series, and some of the worst mission designs in the entire series too. I know that's blasphemy, but I love DMC3, don't get me wrong, that's one of my favorite games of all time, don't crucify me. I can love a game, but I can point out its flaws, and DMC3 has the worst enemies ever, and the worst mission designs in the world. I would have the enemies feel close to DMC1. Despite how many times you fight the enemies over and over in DMC1, they are always somewhat of a threat. Even if you know how to take them down, they're still somewhat of a threat. I wish it was lingering, so if you slip up, they can take you down. Not like Ninja Gaiden though, like where if you slip up once, you're fucked, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I would have the enemies be something close to DMC1, where they can punish you for not dealing with enemies properly, but not in the sense where you have to restart the game every time, unless you're doing a no damage series. But I wish DMC5 enemies were more of a threat like DMC1, not like DMC3, because they were a threat for the wrong reasons. They were a threat because they had these weird gimmicks associated with them, like those enemies where they turn into mist, and you have to turn around and they would become corporal, and you have to deal with them. Just give me key stuff like that. That was fucking annoying. And that came to the enemy designs. It was a stupid idea, but at least DMC5 enemies are slightly better than 3, I would say. We're not far off now. We're gonna fight one of my favorite bosses in the game. I always like playing him. Yeah, this part always gets me every time, so let's just get thrown into fighting these two. There we go. I don't think we have much more to do in the mission. I think we just have to go to the big baddie and that's about it. I just rambled mainly with the basically random enemy drops. I think these are the only two left. Good. Come on, I don't have double trigger yet. I didn't unlock that one, so we're not doing all the combos yet. I'm just unlocking them as it goes. So you don't need them. You don't need all of them for S rank. As you can see, I've been perfectly fine. These are weird additions to the game as well. You just have to find them just so you can access more of the corridors. But sometimes they are good because they will show you secret missions as well. And that could have been something I could have done, like for a series, just present to you where all the secret missions are. So let's just go here first, and then we'll proceed to the boss. So I got a few things unlocked. Haven't done much here yet. Yeah, we'll just waste our runes on that. Spinning blade, yeah, that's really convenient. I'm good. Let's just get that one. Need more combos. I didn't realize how much runes I have. Yeah, I'll just get them all. Right. And then we'll proceed. Like I said, this is one of my favorites in the games. It's just like really fun. But I always used Nero in this, so this is gonna be weird to see Vergil play. Goliath. He's just amazing. I just love the character. I'm just gonna start spamming. It would just like swing his arms around like that, so just like get ready to avoid him. Just go like behind the legs or something. You'll be good to go, and just start spamming moves like that. Eventually he'll break down and we'll go into another room like that. Even though I was far away, they still put me down anyways. I will say, if you do have like basically all the combos, everything unlocked, you can beat him right here if you know what you're doing. Just like get all the movesets sorted, and you can basically spam attacks, so you can make him freeze into place. So I wish I could show you that there, but I don't have all the movesets. I have to actually try. Oh. Good while he's down, just keep spamming. And when it comes to doing S ranks, you can't just rely on one weapon. You always have to like keep switching it out, because the game will punish you if you like keep spamming the same movesets over and over. You always have to like keep being consistent when it comes to weapons. Like always use them for many situations. Like use Yamato for like dashing into them if you're like at a distance, and then use the other sword for close range. Use the melee stuff for uppercuts, fighting midair, and then switch to sword to slash them up, and then go back to the boots just to grand slam them, like stuff like that. If you're ever gonna do like an S rank playthrough, that's basically it. But it's just like a bit of a common sense. Basically, like always swap out weapons all the time. Especially for Dante too, he's just like has many weapons and guns as well, so you have a lot of fun variety and combos you can use, and all different. Like all of them are good for certain bosses and enemies as well. So RPG is good for those rolling guys. Like they always like roll and you just dodge them, and they always like keep a safe distance. So just grab an RPG out and you're good. Almost there. Good, we got an S rank. No, if I don't get hit once, yeah, we're good. Oh, he was fun. Yee, we did it, boys. Give me that S. I want nothing else but that S. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll do mission 3 soon if you like it. And make sure you comment and subscribe. Peace, guys.